TDE artist Ab has a new album called Soul Burger that was recently released. What were your first thoughts when listening to this album?
Bro, this album is like one of my favorite projects of the year.
Same.
Easy, easy. Like I'll be candid though. Like the beginning kind of threw me off. I was a little worried. I'm not gonna lie. Like when I
Mm,
played 9 Miles, like, what is this? Like, what's going on? Like I had to check my like AirPods. I was like, am I listening to this song correctly, or is my joint like buffering or messing up a little bit? But once things got into the swing of things, like once like I really dove into the track list, I'm like, bro, there are very few songs I don't like or I can't listen to, a third, fourth, fifth time. You know what I'm saying?
yeah.
One of my favorite songs that he's put out, period, in a minute is All That. So once I got into
Fire.
All That, then I went down to listen to Bucko Jr., I Myself and Me with Doechii,
Tough.
Go Pro with Ty Dolla Sign, and Don Julio 70 with Fresh. From that point on, this I could listen to this pretty much straight through. I want to shout out your man's Lupe Fiasco on Peace. Body that. He bodied that.
Crazy.
Body that. And I love how the song closed with Righteous Man. And I think
Mhm.
that's a song with Nipsey, if I'm not mistaken, on it, right? Like,
Yeah,
or references to
yeah,
Nip.
it has the
So
reference. It has Nipsey references.
yo, so I think Absol did his thing on this, bro. Like,
Yeah.
and it's crazy because we comment on one of his records recently, and I didn't know he was going to come out with the album, but I had a vision for what the album would sound like. I was like, yo, if it sounds anything like All That, if it was a song or an album full of all that, I would be happy too. But I'm glad he didn't necessarily go that route and instead show that versatility that we talked about him always kind of having. Um,
Yes.
and his ability to float in different pockets and do all these other things. So, yeah, shout out to Ab. So again, one of those artists who doesn't get enough credit because frankly, there's been bigger stars musically on TDE, but that's not to say like that gives no way for anybody to kind of like discredit his ability because he's amazing, bro. And this Soul Burger is just credit to that or proof of that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I 100% would agree, man. Listening to this, and I actually like 9 Mile, man. I thought it was dope. I like the way that he flipped the flow from Eminem in that song, but also with the Shook One sample in there.
Yeah.
It was crazy, man. Listening to it, I thought it was really creative. I could see why you thought it was buffering though, because it mixes a lot of different songs into one.
Yeah.
Um, but I thought it was hard, man. I thought it was really, really creative for an intro. All that, of course, amazing. Man, I really liked Bucko Jr., man, the way that he took note and took the flow from Lil Wayne's Birdman Jr. from the Carter, and I
Mhm.
thought that it was fire. Like I thought that I think it was the Carter 2 actually. I thought that that was an amazing interpretation of that song, and the fact that he was able to use those flows and kind of tell his story using Lil Wayne's flow on that song, I thought it was dope. That one is crazy. I Myself and Me, another one. Uh, Peace, man, with him and Lupe Fiasco. I couldn't agree with you more. Lupe
Mhm.
went crazy on that song. Production is dope on there. I really like Sky's the Limitless. I like the way that they flipped Sky's the Limit. That's one of my favorite big songs. And I
Yeah.
thought that they did it justice. I thought it was creative. And Righteous Man, man, that's one of those songs that you have not heard. Just as far as on a conscious level and just lyrically, amazing. And that's one thing that I think that I like that he played around with the different styles and put a record like All That on here. But there are a lot of bars. He did not skim on lyricism on this album at all.
Mhm.
He played around with different sounds and made a couple more mainstream sounding songs. But
Mhm.
this album is extremely lyrical still, man. And I would 100% recommend it. Soul Burger. I'm really mad that he didn't put this out 3 months ago, so it could have been nominated for a Grammy.
Right.
Because
Yeah. And
this would have deserved it.
for sure. And I think I feel the same way about Chromacopia with
Oh, that
Tyler
one
the
too.
Creator. I'm like, bro, this is my favorite rap album of the year, and you playing with us, right? But the same goes
Yeah.
for Ab-Soul. And I'm looking at a discography right now, dog. I didn't realize that he took a 6 year hiatus musically between Do What Thou Wilt and then Herbert, which is the album that kind of got me back into Ab. So that came out
Mm.
2 years ago. But now that I'm seeing him like go on this continuous run. Like I want to I want to see what happens or what's next
Yeah.
because if he like clearly the quality hasn't like changed. Like this is what you would expect from Absol as someone who has been attached or has been a fan of his music for a while. So this just shows maturity for me though. Because I think this is one of his strongest bodies of work, probably since that his earlier phases within music. Um, so yeah, bro. Like shout out to Absol, man. Like this is what I needed, bro.
This
This is
is
what I
exactly
needed.
what I needed too, man. And I would say the same, man. It's unfortunate that Absol's album and Tyler the Creator, two of some of the best albums that have came out this year, came out past that deadline. But they should definitely be nominated for the next go round. So, uh, you know, fire. Overall, man, I'm very happy. This will be an album I'll be going back to, which indicates how much I liked it when I played it in the car today. So, yeah, definitely one that I would recommend checking out if you haven't. I just also thought about it, man. Rhapsody's albums wasn't nominated for a Grammy, and your boy, man, Schoolboy Q's Blue Lips was
Yeah.
nominated.
So
What do you
that's
think about
actually
that?
what I forgot to say, yo. Like Blue Lips to me is again like it's one of those projects that if you listen to the full body of work, you'll appreciate it, especially as you listen to it more, because you'll see things that you may have missed upon your first, second, or third listen. But realistically, it's not gonna be one of those albums that's going to get Grammy nominated. It's just like
Yeah,
something you have to kind of wrestle with as a music fan, period. Because one of my favorite albums of the year, not even a hip hop album in general, that didn't get nominated in this category. So it's just like, all right, man, this is what we doing. You know what I mean?
yeah.
Because we talked about how much we appreciate R&B. I love specifically like alternative R&B. Those
Okay.
rarely get any good looks. You feel me? That's
No,
just what you kind of deal with. But I also want to speak to just how strong a year TDE had in general because they had Dochi's
absolutely.
joint, this one, and then Schoolboy's. Like, bruh,
And
these are three great albums.
three great albums, and then even if you get into R&B, man, Sir is one of my favorite R&B artists of this
Yeah.
generation. Is Sir, man. I love Sir's music, and
Mhm.
Sir's album is fire. So like they've had a run this year of really great music coming out of TDE. So I definitely got to salute them, especially a lot of people when Kendrick left TDE didn't think that they would still be able to remain as relevant as they are, and they are clearly proving everybody wrong
Mhm.
because
100% and continue to do.
and they continue to cultivate and really nurture great artists, and they don't rush their artists to put music out, which I think is one of the reasons why they're able to do that. They're not doing fast food music, and I appreciate that. I appreciate you letting your artists take 2-3 years to put together a dope record, instead of just rushing them to put out an album every single year on the year. um I would rather wait a few years and get a great project than you just rush something out you know and it's subpar. So
Exactly. And I always compare TDE artists and just the entity of TDE. Like I always compare it in the film world to A24 because of that reason. They don't have these crazy budgets, right? But they
right,
make it happen. And every time a A24 or a TDE project is released, is always a top of the list when it comes to quality. So yeah, man. Shout out to Absol. This is another great body of work by him.
thousand
Really
percent.
capped off a good like year in hip hop. Cause I was I'm not gonna lie, like I wasn't worried last year in 2023. The 50-year anniversary, I don't think in my eyes for hip hop was as grand as maybe it should have been.
Not at all.
But but like I'm glad hip hop is in now back in stride. You know what I
You
mean?
know what I've realized? People are finally getting back to a point where we need substance.
Yes.
People are, and when I was listening the other day to Most Def's album Black on Both Sides, on the intro of that album, he said something that I think is very true. He says, people always ask where hip hop's going, and I ask where are we going, and I agree. I think
Mm.
I think we play a larger role in it than we realize because what 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 state we are in as people kind of will dictate what we want to hear and what we
Mm.
accept musically. And I think that right now we're in a time, and it might be just because of the time and the struggles that people are going through right now, the economy and all of this stuff that's
Yeah.
happening in the world politics. And I think people are ready to hear substance again, and I think that wasn't the case in the last couple of years. I think that it wasn't as relevant. I remember when Killer Mike's album won, people were like, "Wow, what is this?" Well, Killer Mike, and I'm like, "Oh, y'all crazy!" Like, the album is amazing, but I think that people weren't
Crazy.
in the space that they are in now. I think now, um, yeah, man, I think hip hop is. I hate to say hip hop is back because it never went anywhere, but
Hmm.
I think real rap and conscious rap and meaningful rap is coming back to the forefront.